Hey, what's up, Facebook family and friends? It's Nisan Trotter, of course, joining you live on Facebook video. I'll wait for a couple of you to get on board with me tonight because I have a very special message for those who want to fly high in life. This is going to be your Aviation 101 tips to helping you get the absolute most out of life and fly high. So for those of you who are joining me on Facebook Live right here, right now, I want you to let me know who you are, where you are, and as is customary, I will give you a quick shout out and show you some love, and then we'll get into the subject matter on tonight. And whenever something resonates with you that I say, I want you to double tap, triple tap, quadruple tap that screen, that like button, to make sure a whole lot of likes come across the screen. That encourages me, and that also, I'm sure, encourages our live viewers. For those of you who will watch the playback, this message is for you as well, and I'll be so thankful that you join on tonight. Flo from Washington, D.C. What's up, Flo? Thank you so much for joining me live on Facebook. We have a very special message for you on tonight. So let me know who you are, where you are, and I'll give you a quick shout out, and we'll go right into Aviation 101. What you need to know in order to fly high. And I'll be pretty much giving you a story from my own experiences. Kip, my cousin Kip, I love you, Kip. So glad that you joined me on tonight. Blood family right there. We go way back. Who else would love to chime in or like to chime in and let me know where you're from? I'll give you a quick shout out. Michael Duncan, my teammate from Bucknell University football. What's up, Mike? I believe you're in New Jersey. Derek Shannon, my Fit Body Boot Camp brother, who actually encouraged me to start doing more Facebook Live videos. And Derek, I don't know if you've been watching me or been paying attention, but I've been doing that. And he's all the way from Calgary. Man, thank you so much for joining me. Oh, Michael Duncan is in Connecticut now. My man. That's the power of Facebook. We're able to connect across the globe. And I'm so happy that you're with me on tonight. Okay, now let's jump right into it. I want to give you a story about my very first plane trip. And it wasn't necessarily the best story because I'm a whole lot better now, but I used to be very afraid of heights. And wouldn't it be interesting that while being afraid of heights, I found myself on a plane flying high, thousands of miles in the sky. And so I was basically recruited for to play football for Bucknell University. And it was actually my very first time up north, my recruiting trip. And I'm from Alabama, a small place called Silver Hill, Alabama, where we call Bucknell because we had never even heard of such a place. And when I found out the prestige of this place, the great education that I would get by attending this school, it was pretty much a no-brainer. God had blessed me with a tremendous opportunity to be a scholarship athlete here at Bucknell University playing football. And this was years ago. But on my first flight, let me tell you, my family gathered in Mobile, Alabama at the airport. It was probably literally about 10 to 15 people who wanted to see me off. They were giving their salutations. They were saying goodbye to me. And it was a tough experience. I had to leave them behind. And for some of you who want to fly high and make it to that next level in life, I'm here to tell you, you're going to have to leave some people behind. You're going to have to let go of some relationships. And thankfully for me, the environment where I grew up, my family was very nurturing, very loving. I love my cousins, my uncles, my brother. I come from a good, solid home. But nevertheless, once my mother took me to the airport with my family and my friends, those that I consider the closest to my heart, I had to let them go in order to reach another level. And my mom is a very strong woman. I rarely ever have seen my mother even cry. I mean, she's been through a whole lot in life. But when I was at the airport, both of us knew that it was the right move because she could only take me so far. And then it was time for me to grow up and move on and go higher. And I heard and I found out that even though she held it together, she kept it together in the airport, once I took off and she seen the plane fly from the foyer through the windows, my plane that is, she dropped to her knees and she cried. And that's when I found out and knew wholeheartedly that I had made a big move. I had made a move that brought my mothers to tears. And then while I'm in the air flying, here it is, I was changing scenery in order to reach my new level. Not only was I letting go of some relationships, quote unquote, I also had to change environments. And so for you who are in a bad place or maybe in a bad relationship, and these things are holding you down or holding you back, or these relationships were only meant to be seasonal and only take you so far, this is the moment in your life where you got to cut it off, let it go, and get in a new environment so that you can excel to the next level. I went from a very hot place to a cold place. In fact, the story was that we thought it was so cold up here that if you breathe in the northern air, you could die. Wow, I was scared. I was afraid. I had never really even seen snow before. Never really even seen it fall from the sky and stick to the ground. But in this one moment, as scary as it seemed and as scary as it sounded, I had to leave my family behind for that one moment, which was seasonal because, of course, I came back and loved on them and they loved on me, but they could only take me so far. And not only did I have to leave my family behind, I had to let go of my environment. Everything that I knew in that one place had to be completely discarded so that I could be in a brand new place, which was in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania at Bucknell University. But before I landed in Lewisburg, listen to what happened. I had to let go of my baggage as well. In order to get on the plane, I couldn't take all the baggage that I had with me. I had to hand it off to somebody, and then I could only carry a couple of items onto the plane. And so for some of you, here it is, and this is what's really going to resonate with you. You are carrying baggage, and those things are holding you down. Whether it's the baggage of being lonely, whether it's the baggage of a hurtful relationship in the past, whether it's baggage from you maybe not having enough finances, whatever it is that's holding you back, I'm letting you know that in this one moment, you can no longer use it as an excuse. You can no longer use it you can no longer carry it to your next destination. You gotta let that baggage go. What is it? Maybe it's past hurts, past pains. I don't know what it is, but hopefully this one message is sticking out like a sore thumb so that you can handle and address the situation and get rid of the baggage in order for you to fly high. I wouldn't have been able to get on the plane if I had bag after bag after bag. You can only carry so much until it begins to weigh you down and slow you down and not allow you the chance to progress. But then once I let go of my baggage, once I left my family behind, and as I began to change scenery, as I let go of my baggage, the next thing that began to take place is I started to take off. And it wasn't an immediate takeoff. You know what happened before I took off? I peeked out the window and I seen some other planes taking off before me. And this is important for you to recognize and understand, is that there's somebody close around you who may get to their destination or be arriving first. And you got to be willing to celebrate and be okay with them taking off while you're still on the ground. Because if you allow jealousy and envy to hold you back and let you be negative, then guess what? Chickens deserve to just stay on the ground. They can only fly so high, but you deserve to be an eagle. You know that your wings are meant to soar high in the sky, but in order for that to happen in this phase of your life, you may have to allow other people to take off and celebrate their successes, celebrate their advancement, celebrate that they're going to the new level. Because if they're around you, that means they're in your neighborhood. And if it's happening to them, then you're next. And what boggles my mind, what trips me out, is that we have so many people who hate on others who are getting blessed and who are advancing. Did you not know that that level of hate that you're dwelling in is stopping your progress? What would help you to move forward is celebrating and praising those who are flying high and who are taking off. So I peeked out my plane window on my first flight, and I seen that other planes were flying and they were taking off the strip, and then that was giving me an indication that I was next. And then here's what happened. My heart started to palpitate, and it started to pump harder and harder as the pilot kept pressing the gas for the plane to begin to reach its takeoff. And then once it took off high into the sky, as we were going higher, you know what happens if you've ever been on a plane before. We're talking about Aviation 101. There started to be turbulence, and it was a rocky takeoff. In fact, it was the worst takeoff I had ever experienced because this was my very first time. And did you know, in that one moment, I automatically thought I had made the wrong move? The reason why is because fear started to seep in. But here's the irony of the whole ordeal. As turbulence was beginning to take its course on my first flight, as there was bumps and there was dips, and as my stomach seemed like it was in my chest and my heart was dropping to my feet, I was rising higher and higher and higher. And for some of you, unfortunately, you've allowed the turbulence of your life, the pains, the hurts, the disappointments, the setbacks, and you've used that as an indication to think that you aren't going anywhere. But I want to let you know in this one moment that the turbulence in your life is an indication that you're flying higher. You're going higher. Do you know what an eagle does when it's faced with predators? This is its defense mechanism, the eagle, is that when it's faced with predators, God has gifted the eagle with the ability to fly high and go to amazing altitudes, so that when its predators is chasing the eagle, it will just continue to go up and up and up until its haters, until those that are trying to pull the eagle down can no longer fly as high. And that's what you got to do. You got to be able to continue to allow your life to go up and up and up despite the disappointments, despite the hard times. Who knows what you're going through, and who knows exactly how it feels? Not really anybody. Nobody really knows what's in your heart and how you're feeling emotionally and how you've withstood the storm. And I'm telling you, in this one moment, for those of you that can hear my voice, you've been able to progress in life because you haven't given up in turbulent times. My first flight was flat out scary. I wanted to close my eyes. I did, in fact, close my eyes. And here's what I began to do next. When I started to feel that this situation was too much for me to bear, I was literally an emergency button away from calling the flight attendant and telling the flight attendant, listen, you better do something right now to land this plane because I cannot take the turbulence. I'm scared out of my socks. I'm at my wit's end, and I'm actually ready to go back home. I was literally 2 seconds away from either darting in the middle of the aisle, grabbing the flight attendant and saying to them, shaking them and telling them, you better land this plane. That's how crazy I was in that one moment. That's how afraid I was in that one moment. And this is what happens when we go somewhere in life. We get to a place to where we're progressing. We get to a place to where it may be then difficult as we progress. And the irony is we want to go back. We want to maybe go back because of fear. We maybe want to go back because we feel that it's uncomfortable. It isn't right. We made the wrong move. But I'm here to let you know that you can use fear as an alarm mechanism to propel you forward rather than stopping you and moving you backwards. I love the book title that says, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. So what kept me in my seat? What kept me willing to go to a new environment, willing to fly from Mobile, Alabama to Lewisburg, PA, to a place I had never seen before, a place I had never been before? What led me to allow myself to ride out the turbulent times, not press the emergency button, not get the flight attendant and grab her by the shoulders and tell her to land the plane? I'm glad you asked the question. What helped me to stay in my seat and keep it all together is I really, to be honest, felt in my heart of hearts that if something were to go awry, if something were to go down bad, if this plane was to land and crash, I've done everything that I could to draw closer to the Lord, and I believe that my soul will rest in heaven with Jesus. And I know that you probably didn't think that this message was going to go there. So for those of you who are even non-believers, I want to even help you as well, because this is what also helped me to stay in my seat. I hope that you're ready for it. I began to think of my why. I began to think in my heart of hearts, why am I on this plane? Why am I making this move as a youngster at 18 years old, leaving my family behind, changing scenery? Why am I doing such a thing? And my reason why is because I wanted to make my mom proud. After all the sacrifices that my mother had did for me to set me up and get me into a position to where I could receive a prestigious education from Bucknell University, coming from simple means, my family of 4 growing up in the back room of my grandmama's house. Literally, my family being able to see me off from the airport at Mobile, Alabama, receiving a scholarship from Bucknell worth over $160,000, I thought about my why. I took a deep breath and I stayed in my seat and I rode out the waves. And so this is what you got to do. You got to remember your reason why. All of us should know what our reason why is. And Mark Twain, he said essentially this, that there are 2 reasons for us to be born. And that we need to know the reason why we were born. The 2 most important days in our lives are when we were born and when we figure out why we were born. And I knew in that one moment that this was destiny taking over. I knew that no matter how turbulent it was, I was going to stick it out because I wanted to make my mom proud. And I knew, in fact, if anything was to go down wrong, I would be okay at the end of the day. I'd be in heaven in a better place at some point in time. And so what's your why? What is your why for working so hard? What's your why for loving people who may despitefully use you? What's your why for raising your children the way that you do? What's your why for the career, that path that you're going down? What is your why that's going to keep you moving in the midst of adversity? What's your why that makes you want to stand up for social injustices like we see in today's society? You got to know what your why is, because your why is your anchor. And then once I rode out the waves, so to speak, and once I allowed that turbulence to take place, and as the plane began to land, and I found myself in a brand new environment, here's what happened next. The story is coming to a close. I essentially now am considered a northerner. I really haven't been back home to stay much, and I have accolades after accolades that I can go back and share with my family. And many of them are proud of me today, and they still fuel me today. And so on the opposite side of that adversity, that turmoil that you're going through, there are rewards waiting for you, and there's a chance for you to celebrate if you stick with it. I can go back home now and show my mom my beautiful wife. I can go back home now and show my family my beautiful 2 kids, my 2 sons, Osias and Onesimus. I can go back home now and I can show them how I was featured in the Bucknell football magazine. I can go back home now and share with them the stories of how I'm an entrepreneur in the North, owning a couple of fitness businesses. And I'm saying this to impress upon you that in order for you to fly high, here it is, you got to be willing to change scenery. You got to be able to let some relationships go that may can only take you so far, or the relationships that are bad for you. Once you do that, you got to be willing to let go of some baggage in your life, the things that are weighing you down. In order for you to fly high, you won't be able to go to that next level if you're letting weighted baggage carry you down. And then once you do that, there's going to be some turbulence, and there's going to be some even people flying before you. But that's just an indication of where you're going, because if they're taking off, then you're next. And then once you allow that turbulence, that bumpiness to take place, just know that the bumpiness is not meant for your demise. It's meant to carry you up. And then even if you have an inclination to want to go backwards, that's just signs that you're going in the right direction. Feel the fear and do it anyway. And what's going to happen when you take advantage of these tips that I tell you, and you land and you ride out your dreams and you allow it to take you to your ultimate destination, you're going to have some rewards. You're going to have some celebratory moments with the accolades that you accomplished just because you were willing to fly high. This is Nisan Trotter. I got to get home to my family. I love them so much. If you felt like this video helped you and it blessed you and it gave you some encouragement, I want you to allow some likes to go across that screen by pressing it as many times as you can, and also share this video with somebody who may be going through a difficult time and needs some words of encouragement, because maybe they feel like they've been hanging around chickens all their life and they were meant to fly high like an eagle. And these tips that I've given in this one video can help somebody move to that next place. Move to a place to where they can say, I was glad when I took off and left stuff behind and went through turbulent times, because in that one moment where I did that, I found myself higher than I've ever been before. And I know there's a quote that says, it's lonely at the top, but you eat better. You have a supernatural power in you to accelerate and excel. Until the next time, hands up like a champ.